Good morning, students. Welcome back to today's class. We were discussing the methods of separation of substances, in which we already have discussed the methods of separation of the mixture of solid and solid. And today we will discuss the second type of mixture, that is the mixture of solids with liquids. The methods of separation of such a mixture, separation of substances of such a mixture which is of a solid with liquid. So this type of mixture can again be of two types. First is in which solids dissolve in liquids, and second is such in which solids do not dissolve in liquids. So these two types of mixtures we will study one by one. First is the solids which dissolve in liquid. Such a mixture in which solids dissolve in liquid. Now this type of mixture can be separated. This type of the components of this type of mixture can be separated by two methods: evaporation and crystallization. And now we will see these two methods. See, students, this picture. If we continuously heat water for some time, what happens? It is very common observation. Water is converted into vapor, isn't it? Yes. And this process is called evaporation, which is our first method, evaporation. So what is evaporation? Evaporation is a process in which a liquid changes into gaseous form on heating. Now, what is evaporation we got? But we have to know how can the components be separated by the method of evaporation, isn't it? So let us discuss an activity which will make it clear. What we have to do? We have to take a beaker containing salty water in it. Means salt solution we have to take in a beaker. Now, if we will boil this solution, what will happen? We will observe evaporation of water, isn't it? The water, it will start evaporating. You must have observed this. No? And when whole water gets converted into vapors, we will observe salt at bottom, isn't it? See this picture. The whole amount of water, it has gone vaporized, and finally what is left behind? Salt, because we are heating salt solution. So it is the mixture of salt and water. Salt is solid and water is liquid, and we are discussing such a mixture in which one of the component is solid and one is liquid. So after heating, a time will come when all amount of water will get vaporized, and at the bottom what will be left? Salt, right? And this process of changing this water into vapor, this is called evaporation. Now the vapors, these vapors, they can also be cooled to form water. Here in this picture you can see this water, it can be cooled, right? This vapor, it can be cooled to form water. And which process is behind this? Yes, condensation. So here we got water also, and in this way both the components salt and water, they got separated by the process of evaporation. So in this way evaporation helps to separate the components of the mixture. In your book, this diagram, this picture is given for evaporation. This is also the same only. Let me explain this also. So here in this beaker, salt solution is taken and the glass rod is taken. So we have to add salt to water and keep it stirring, right? So when the salt will get completely dissolved and salt solution will be ready, we have to pour this salt solution into a china dish, and then we have to heat it, right? So when it will become hot, solution will become hot, water will start boiling and it will start changing into vapors, right? And when all amount of water will get vaporized, finally pure salt, pure common salt will be left behind in the petri dish. So salt has been separated from this mixture of salt and water. We use this method to separate salt from seawater. Salt from seawater. What happens? Basically, seawater. See, this is the sea, right? So seawater is captured in shallow pits. These are the shallow pits. Here in this picture you see, these are the shallow pits. And this the seawater is captured in these shallow pits. And the sunlight, when it heats the water, right? This water, it slowly gets evaporated. Okay, this water, when it becomes hot, it starts getting evaporated. And after complete evaporation, come to this picture. After complete evaporation of water from these shallow pits, we get salt left behind. See here, in all the pits, salt is left behind. And this salt which we get by this method, by the process of evaporation, it is actually unpurified salt, and this unpurified salt is further taken to salt purification industry for purifying it, and we get, in this way we get purified salt which we use to eat. Now, the second method of the separation of the components of mixture of the solution of solid and liquid is crystallization, right? Now, what is crystallization? This is also a new term for you. The process of deriving large crystals of pure substances from their solutions is known as crystallization, right? So in the form of crystals, like the salt which we get from seawater by the process of evaporation, I just told you that is not pure salt. So that salt is again purified by this method, right? And this process, it separates a pure solid in the form of its crystals, right? In the form of crystals and from its saturated solution. This is very important. So here we need a saturated solution. In the process of evaporation, we did not need saturated solution. There we need simply solution. But here we need saturated solution. And we already have studied what is saturated solution. A solution in which no more substance can be added. Such a solution is called saturated solution. So from this saturated solution only the solid can be extracted out in its pure form. Let us discuss this activity. So for this process, first of all, we have to make the saturated solution of sugar. Of salt also you can make, but here I am discussing about sugar. So here we have to make the saturated solution of sugar. How can we make? For this, we have to take water and add sugar in small fractions, right? And then we have to keep it stirring, right? And until we have to add sugar until we don't see that it has stopped dissolving in water. I think you must have got the point, must have remembered what is saturated solution. So in this way we will make saturated solution. And then what we will do, we will heat this saturated solution, right? And after that again we will add some amount of sugar, because we know that when we heat, when we increase temperature, the solubility of solids increases. So here we have to make super saturated solution, right? So we will add some more amount of sugar until it stops dissolving in this water, right? And it will start settling down. See here, it has stopped dissolving and it has started settling down. And we have to keep it heating. When small crystals appear on the glass rod, we are using glass rod for stirring it, right? So after some time we will see that small crystals will appear on the glass rod. At that time we will stop heating the solution, and then we will allow this solution to cool and will leave it undisturbed for some time. After some time, crystals of sugar can be obtained in this container, right? After cooling down, we can see the crystals of sugar, which can be something like this. Okay, and this is the whole method of crystallization, right? And this method of crystallization, as I told you earlier, it is used for purification of salt that we get from seawater. So here, this is the salt that we get from seawater. So this salt is not purified salt. From this, if we want to make it purified, then we have to again make it solution. See, so here the solution of this salt has been made and it is being heated. See, it is being heated. So after some time what will happen? The water will get vaporized, and at last the crystals will be left behind in the container. In this container you can see here the crystals are there. We will take them out through this sieve and it will be something like this. So this is the small scale process. At large scale this process is done in factories, right? So this is the process of purification of salt, that which we get from seawater. I hope these two processes are clear to you, the process of evaporation and the process of crystallization. What are these? Let me revise it. These two are the methods of the separation of the components of such a mixture whose components, one of the components is solid and one is liquid. And moreover, This solid must be soluble in that liquid. Understood? So for such a mixture, these two are the processes for separation of their components. So from this video, you prepare your inside notes. Thank you.